Thanks for coming, folks. I've been thoroughly briefed by all the agencies in the federal government as to the situation, based on what we know now. I have tried to get a hold of Donald. He's with his doctors. Apparently he's doing well. I plan on talking to them shortly, I hope, when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I am able to speak to Donald, I'll let you know that as well. So far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that they're thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in the federal government, I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give me an updated briefing. Has anything happened? They learned any more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do. Okay?
Mr. President, do you think this was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried, President, with the security failing?
Caitlin Collins is joining us right now. I understand, Caitlin, you have some new reporting. What are you learning?
Yeah, Wolf, the former president has actually just issued a statement moments ago on Truth Social. I'm going to read you just the full quote of it because we're just getting it in moments ago. He says, "I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that just took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed and also to the family of another person that was badly injured." Trump says, "It is incredible that such an act can take place in our country." He says, "Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong and that I heard a whizzing sound of shots and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place, so I realized then what was happening." Then in all caps, he says, "God bless America." And Wolf, I do want to add to that we did just get a statement from his son, Donald Trump Jr. as well, who just got off the phone with his father. He said that he's in great spirits. He said he will never stop fighting to save America, no matter what the radical left throws at him. That's, again, a statement from Donald Trump Jr. But these are the first comments that we're hearing from the former president of the United States. And since this shooting happened, well, obviously and understandably, his entire campaign apparatus is deeply shaken by what happened today. And they're all still reeling from it and also just trying to learn more information about what exactly unfolded.
Yeah, it's so scary. And of course, I speak for all of us when I say we wish the former president a very, very speedy recovery from his injuries to the right side of his face from this gunshot. Thank you very much, Caitlin, for that. You know, Jim Sciutto is with us as well. Jim, you're doing a lot of reporting, and people are watching this all over the world. They're watching the United States right now, including leaders all over the world, and you're picking up reaction.
Right. Well, it's interesting. At the NATO summit earlier this week, when I asked officials there about their concerns about the U.S. role in the world going forward, of course, you have, to some degree, its participation in the world, participation in NATO, et cetera, on the ballot in November. Many of them said to me what they truly worry about is division in this country. They worry about division breaking out in this country. And it's interesting that, listen, that's 48 hours ago when they were voicing that. To Dana's point, the idea being that this division and even the violence in this country, you don't have to go back to the 80s, for instance. And of course, there's January 6th, just a few years ago. But as you hear from international leaders, for instance, Justin Trudeau here is the Canadian Prime Minister. He said, political violence is never acceptable. Similar statement a short time ago from Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister, just for a number of days. They are saying similar words to what we're hearing from U.S. officials. Of course, you heard President Biden say it's sick, it's sick. I've been hearing from a number of lawmakers, Representative Mike Lawler, Republican from New York. He says this level of hatred and violence cannot continue. Representative Mark Green, Tennessee, Republican, such violence has no place in our country. You are hearing those words not just, I think, because they believe that's the right thing to say. I think we're hearing those words because lawmakers in this country, but world leaders, feel that there is a genuine risk of that breaking out here. And of course, today's events, as we see the former president there, an assassination attempt, you get an understanding as to why those concerns are so real.
The last thing we thought would happen, there were a lot of developments, political developments unfolding, but an assassination attempt against the former president, I don't think any of us thought that was about to happen, especially knowing that the U.S. Secret Service, the FBI, local law enforcement, U.S. military, they protect the former president very, very closely.
No question. And to Pamela's point earlier, there a number of national security officials have raised that question to me about how a shooter could have gotten onto the top of a building nearby, because we all go to events like this frequently. You know the Secret Service is fantastic at its job. It is always looking not just at the location itself, but locations around it, and often position people to respond to the possibility of threats like that. Lots of questions to answer. It's way too early to
And they
got
to do a full investigation to learn from what happened, as I keep saying, to make sure it doesn't happen again. Scott Jennings, the president in that statement, and you heard Caitlin Collins report it, says he was hit by a bullet in the upper part of my right ear. He says he knew immediately that something was wrong in that I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. It's awful. This is a former president of the United States.
I mean, think about what you just said. We are 1 inch from something far more terrible tonight. I mean, the country is already shocked, and we are in bad need of healing and unity in this country, but we are 1 inch from something far worse. Republicans I'm hearing from tonight are shocked. They are worried about our country. They're worried about Donald Trump. They're worried about the rhetoric around Donald Trump. I mean, I hate to say it, but the rhetoric around him over the last few weeks, that if he wins an election, our country will end, our democracy will end, it's the last election we'll ever have. These things have consequences, okay? I don't know what the motivations of the shooter are. I don't know any of the details, but I know the rhetoric around Trump has grown extreme. You mentioned some other violence. You didn't mention the Supreme Court attempted murder of a Supreme Court justice, or the congressional baseball game where Steve Scalise was nearly murdered. One a conservative, the other a Republican. But we have people in this country who are dedicated to telling half the country that if Donald Trump wins an election, the country will end, the Constitution will go away, and so on and so forth. What I want to hear from all elected officials is this kind of hyperbolic extremism has consequences, and it must end. Yes, we're all shocked, and yes, political violence has no place. Where does it come from? It's got to stop.
But we're also hearing from Trump very, very strong statements of condemnation of Biden, the worst president, the most dangerous president, and all of that. He's speaking very, very strongly against President Biden.
Who's in the hospital?
Well, we do. This is an assassination.
Look, I agree with you.
You say calm things down. I agree. Both sides should calm things down.
This moment is, if what other wake-up call could there be for everybody in this country right now? I am mortified. I mean, this will live on forever. These pictures we're seeing today will be in the history books of our children and our grandchildren. I mean, we're living through a historical moment, and we have to recognize it for what it is, and we have to change.
You have to cool the rhetoric on both sides.
We have to change.
Because it's really dangerous, and it foments what we've just seen over the past couple hours or so. And it's a really, really scary situation. You want to add a point, Dan?
No, you just said it, Wolf. Scott, your point is so well taken, that the escalation of rhetoric is something that, if you just look back in history, it doesn't take a lot to dig and find that people take cues from not just leaders, but from people around them. And when violence happens, sometimes things are uncorked, and it is important for leaders across the board, as we are seeing today, to tamp things down.